So this takes us to the final step of making your 3D floors or your 3D custom floors. The final step. And the final step of making your 3D custom floors is called the final coat or the top coat, depending on who you're listening to or who's teaching you. But the effect of this final layer is what's the most important one. And usually it's done immediately after installing your vinyl completely. Immediately install the SAV, the self-adhesive vinyl completely. In the previous class we talked about, the previous lesson, sorry. You'd move on. You don't leave your SAV exposed. Immediately you finish installing your SAV, you must move on to the final layer of your 3D custom floors. Now this layer serves as a protective layer for the SAV or the vinyl to prevent scratch or wear or tear to that image that you have placed on your floor or printed. It serves as a form of a transparent or a glass casing, like a glass casing. And the images here you'd see in the bottom right hand corner, you'd see where the final coat is being applied to an SAV that was installed for a hotel somewhere in Nigeria. Now you notice that the installer that is applying the SAV, the final coat, is putting on a pair of clean socks. One, and he's taking care not to step on the area that he has previously coated. This is because once you apply your final coat, you can no longer step on the floor until it cures. So you need to be careful to walk from the inner part of the work area or the hard to reach areas, the further part of your work area. You walk your way down to the door or down to the exit point of the work area, because you cannot walk over this final coat until after a minimum of 24 hours. You cannot walk over it. Now this transparent cover over the paper vinyl or the SAV makes it possible for the SAV not to get torn when people walk on the floor, when people drag furniture over the floor, because the SAV is just a paper. If you walk over it at the point of where it's still exposed, then it will be marked, it will be torn. And that's why I advise that you don't leave your SAV exposed. Immediately it's installed, it's best to install in the morning so you can use the whole day to make sure that it is completely coated, so that there's no issue or there's no damage to the SAV and you have to go print a fresh one. Now the product we use is called the Panicrete product we use is called the FSC 900. The FSC 900 has a 2-to-1 mix ratio. At the beginning of this class or this course, you notice that we talked about a lot about mix ratio. Now, the mix ratio of the FSC 900 is remarkably different from that of the IMC 200 and the PRM 100 we used earlier on. Those ones are 4-to-1, but this one, it's a 2-to-1 mix ratio. That's 2 parts of A with 1 part of B. So you need to be careful. You need to make sure you don't make mistakes. Although already the component comes, or the material comes in and already measured out, or do I say relatively measured out containers. Now the container on the bigger container contains about 22 kg product of the component A, and the container to the smaller container contains 11 kg of the component B. So that means for every 22 kg of component A, you are going to be using 11 kg of component B. So that's a 2-to-1 mix ratio. So for 10 kg of component A, you'll be using 5 kg of component B. For 20 kg of component A, you'll be using 10 kg of component B. For 50 kg of component A, you'll be using 25 kg of component B. And it goes on and on and on like that. So whatever you're doing of component A, you're going to be using half of component B. Already, most manufacturers have their product packaged in the mix ratio content so that one is used to finish up or to use up the other. So you need to pay attention to your mix ratio and make sure you don't get it wrong. Also, you mix it thoroughly with the aid of a paint mixer we talked about earlier on as well, or you use you do it vigorously with a stick or something, and you apply it with the paint roller. If you look at the installer applying the FSC900, you notice he's holding a paint roller on his right hand. So that paint roller is what he's going to be using to spread the FSC900 that has been already mixed. It has to be mixed already with A and B has to have come together before you begin to apply it to the floor. You can either use a paint roller to apply it, or you use a floor squeegee. You either use a paint roller or a floor squeegee, or you use a paintbrush for the edges to touch up maybe areas close to the wall. You first touch up those areas before you begin to do the center part of the room, so that you don't miss out any spots and have a shoddy job done. So you touch up the hard to reach areas or the areas close to the wall, then you begin to work your way in. But you need to be careful. Usually that works when there's two people working. One person is doing the touch up on the edges and the other person is working his way out of the work area. So it's advised you wear a clean pair of white socks to prevent damage to the vinyl, and you should be careful. So it's actually very simple. You mix the components together, component A and B, mix it thoroughly, then you commence application over the installed SAV that has no bubbles and no spots in it. You install and you coat it completely. Once you complete your coating process from the beginning, you work your way out of the area, the work area. Work your way out of it. Just keep applying it with a paint roller all over the place, all over the floor. You work your way out to the exit and you're done. You need to leave it for a minimum of 24 hours before you allow foot traffic on it, because the transparent coating or the FSC900 needs to cure properly. So it needs to cure properly before you begin to step on it. So this is an example of an installed surface. It's been coated so we can walk on it with our shoes. We can walk on it without caring whether there's going to be a damage to the SAV or the vinyl or anything like that, because that won't happen. It's been coated already. And you see the picture of a staircase, that you have to take special care in coating. So that's what the SAV is about, and that's the end of the course. We'll be moving on to the practical section of the course shortly, where we'll be seeing live images of people working and actually doing the 3D custom floors from beginning to the end. So join me as we go on there, and remember to leave a feedback. Let us know how the course is going. If you have questions, you can ask. I'll be happy to respond to you, and you'll get me right in your inbox. So bye for now, and I'll see you in the next module.